Hi, welcome to the Sanford Double Garden Trail. We're here with John. We just finished up a tour at the front at John's orchard, and now we're going to be doing a little session on his veggie garden. But first, we thought we'd start with the Hen House Hilton. You want to tell us a bit about that, John?
Well, we built the Hen House Hilton probably within a year of when we built the house, and because I retrieved a lot of the scrap timber that was in the place. So the only thing that I bought for the hen house was the fibro walls and the floor. And this is the nesting box. We've got 3 nesting boxes here outside so we don't disturb the hens. That's not a real egg, that's just a plastic one. Bit of encouragement. Nesting boxes should be about 300 by 300 square. Should be raised up off the floor. And I use camphor laurel shavings in the nesting box because apparently it gets rid of lice. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but my chooks have never had lice, so they're quite good. I can show you inside as well. This is just this was the original yard we had for them, and we decided it was way too small, but it's good for corralling them if we need to do some work in the yard. I'll just show you inside the hen house.
On the camphor laurel shavings, I can attest to those working really well as well. We use them. And,
oh, really?
Them too.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good.
That's in and lime. That double combo. No pest problems whatsoever.
This is a recycled door that I got from my son's old house.
Nice.
And it comes with a really nice furniture. It's probably worth more than the door. But inside the hen house, you can see there's the 3 nesting boxes and a perch for them to jump up onto. We keep all the food in here, and this is an old beer fermenter. Keep all that in here. The grain is in the feeder there, and the water is in there, and we also have a roost for them. So what I do with this, probably once a month, I will clean all of this area here, probably across to about here, clean that out, put it into a couple of buckets and put that into the compost heap. Then I take all this here and move it across over there, take the shavings out of the nesting box onto the floor, which makes up the other half, and put new shavings into the nesting boxes. So the whole thing is just rotated. Anyone who has hens at all and they're worried about going away for a weekend or a few days or something like that, these containers here will last probably for a week. As you can see, I have a trapdoor here, and the hens are locked in at night because we have foxes in our area. But if we go away, we obviously can't just shut them in here for like a long weekend or a week or something like that. So we put a little transistor radio up here on the wall, and we leave that on very low on Radio National. And on Radio National, they only talk anyway. So when the foxes come around at all, they can hear human voices, so they don't bother. And we've never lost a chook, and yet we've had our neighbour lost 5 one night. So it's a good one. And when you come back to the hens are so much more intelligent, so you can have a really good conversation with them if they like Parliament.
It's important to have smart chooks. Right. Well, let's. I heard you mention the composting, so maybe we should just touch on the Composting Bay System that you've got here, John, before we move on to the garden.
Cool. So the composting system that we have here is, I had some Rio, so that's some reinforcement steel mesh left over from when we built the house. and I decided to put down one level of Besser blocks and then 2 sections of the mesh on top of that, then put some bamboo and sticks like that in. So the whole compost heap is raised, and the beauty of that is that no matter how much rain we get, we never have a problem with moisture. It always goes through the compost, and is in always really good condition. Heaps of worms and stuff like that. So I put on top, when I clean out the hen house, I put all the droppings and the shavings on the top. The shavings are good for your carbon content, and then I mow the lawns. I mow the house lawn with a catcher on a push mower and put that on top of that, which gives it a bit of heat and breaks it all down. So it breaks down quite nicely. Now, if you can have a look at some of what we've got in here. All our kitchen scraps go in here as well,
Right.
including the eggshells. But you can see that this here,
Oh wow.
like that is, and there's not one bit of dirt gone into this compost heap.
Yeah.
This is
That's
just
beautiful. And you look at that, you give that a squeeze, it forms up nicely, and then just slight pressure with the thumb, it all crumbles up. That's perfect. Beautiful. Very nice.
so we put all our kitchen scraps in here. We don't put in dairy, meat, citrus or onions, but everything else goes in there, including tea bags.
Nice.
So they break down really nicely.
So that dark, that compost layer, how long did it take it to get to that stage with that system there, would you say?
It's hard to say really, because I don't really give it a hard time. I just, every time it goes down, every now and again, if I'm potting out some plants, I'll use that in them. And quite often when we pot things up, we'll get tomatoes in it, because obviously the chooks have had the tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes, which end up back into the compost heap. So, and what happens too quite often is the cane toads in the summertime manage to get into the bottom of the compost heap, and they tend to tunnel around, getting getting worms and bugs and things like that. So it's probably the only decent use for a cane toad. But they will drop a lot of the stuff down and will come out the bottom.
Yeah.
And underneath that, and I will dig that out.
You harvest that.
And if I don't think it's ready, I'll just put it straight back on top again.
Right.
And put grass over it, and then just let it go back around again. So you can tell what you're getting in there. But all the coffee grounds go in there as well.
So do you fully empty one of these bags?
Never.
Okay, right.
I've never done that yet.
But you've got the two.
I've got another one over the other side there, which I call, this is my wrap compost. So this is like really hard done to ground and things that I got out of the walkways this morning between the gardens. Bananas, I put bananas in here. There's one of the banana trees there. I cut them up into sizes like that and put them in there, but they break down. They're quite good.
Bit of a show here for the camera in terms of what we got here. This is a full banana trunk right on in there. But this stuff breaks down beautifully.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Nice.
So this one here, about once a year or maybe 2 years, I will just take all the top back up to here, get into the bottom of it with a shovel. And last time I did, I got about 6 wheelbarrow loads out of this one here and put it in the garden. And things tend to really go well when it's like fresh soil, hasn't been used a lot. So yeah, it's quite good. It's really good for it. We don't throw away much, that's for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, let's shuffle on to the main thing here, the veggie garden. Now you've got I guess a bit of a challenge. Well, I guess it all depends on your perspective about challenge or not. But you're on a slope. So can you talk us through, I guess, a bit about what you've done to sort of manage the slope conditions?
Well, this area here, when we built the house, we had to knock down some trees. I think we knocked down about 16 trees in total. I know that doesn't sound very good, but in the meantime, we've planted over 200. So the trees that were knocked down because they were too close to the house or in the footprint of the house, all went through here, and we set fire to them after a couple of months and burnt them all. So all the charcoal was in the garden. So that was the reason we put the garden here. And obviously the reason for stepping it down the hill is for the water. So you get like a swale set up. So it catches all the water, will just move down the hill.
Let's come on in here a bit more, John, so we can get a bit more of a view on there. So you've got the sort of crusher dust paths along here.
Yes. It seems to be the ideal size. This is 400. The gap is 400 mil between the beds, and each bed is 1200, which seems to be the ideal size too, because you only have to reach 600 or 2 feet from each side to get anything in the garden. So it's all irrigated, underground irrigation. It'll be in here. There it is. There's the irrigation. Just sits on the top. Is pegged down with pegs.
Yep.
And mulched over the top. I did originally bury it, but the problem with that is the plants aren't getting it until they get to that point.
Right.
So you're better off with it on the top.
Yeah.
And get the water to them right from the start, and I don't necessarily plant them right next to each sprinkler hole.
Yeah.
I find it's quite often a plant will go and get water and when it wants it.
Yeah.
So it's better to do that. But to water from the top and mulch over the top of them, because these things only pop open under pressure, and then each one of them I think drips 2 litres an hour.
Yeah.
But when you've got hundreds of them, it's quite a bit of
like,
water, so it soon adds up.
For sure.
Yeah. So
sure.
these cabbages are going.
Yeah, no, the
fantastic.
The cabbages look fantastic.
Since I got you to check my soil for me.
Yeah. pH.
And this is what happened. It just went crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pan across the...
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely getting the pH right for soil. Very, very important. So what are some other things? You've got rhubarb. Now, as a Canadian,
I like rhubarb.
I love saying the word rhubarb, and I also love eating it. Have you grown rhubarb much here?
Yeah, I have. It sure doesn't like summer. Yeah.
Well, certainly not the, I guess, the super wet summers, and also the intense heat.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. But it's as bad as this bed here looks. This one here I've harvested here, but I haven't harvested down there. Now, believe it or not, that's turmeric. It's got mint on top, obviously, but there's turmeric in there. And I've got my fork here. I can show you where some is.
Yeah, sounds good. There might even be a bit poking up right here. There's a little guy there. It looks like it might be.
Yeah. Let me stick the fork in here.
Turmeric grows really, really well in southeast Queensland. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Turmeric is full of all sorts of
Good stuff.
great goodness. Wow. Beautiful, John.
Now, I can tell you a little story about this stuff too, as I went to the trouble to find out. But with this, we recently, we dry it. And you don't need a dehydrator to dry it, by the way. You can dry it in your oven. If you've got a fan forced oven, it'll go down to 70 degrees. And I had some trays made up out of that stainless steel mesh you use for screen doors. And I had 4 of them made up, stiffened up the front and the back of the trays, put them in the oven, and then a slicer. You wash this, slice it, lay it out on the trays and leave it for about 4 or 5 hours. And you'll end up with fully dehydrated turmeric. Now here's the kicker. I weighed it last time, 1.3 kilos of turmeric made 250 grams of powder.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is gold.
Yeah. A fair bit of water in that.
Yeah, well, 80% by the looks of it. So, yeah, so although, having said that, we have turmeric quite often, and it is so much nicer than anything bought in the shop.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So the next thing, let's bring your fork around, because the other one we brought
the other
here
daggy looking beer
is it doesn't look like there's much going on here, but in reality, this is just a bed that is full of dormant ginger. So you want to basically let's well, first of all, let's see a bit here so that people know that we're not talking silliness. That's just one fork dig there. Nice stuff. There's some a bit shriveled up bits there, but some very nice bits there as well. Now you've already done a bit of harvesting over here.
Yes.
Already, and I don't know how many pieces would you say that you've gotten just in that area here?
Quite a few, Jason, don't you think? About 1.5 kilos or something. So
I may or may not have been the recipient of some of this wonderful ginger from John. Okay, we'll go with I have. It's very lovely, and it certainly beats $45 a kilogram,
yes,
in the shops.
Yep.
So John, do you want to tell us a bit about how you so successfully grow your ginger? Because this whole bed is ginger.
Yes. So what I did with this bed is, the beauty of this irrigation tube sitting on the top like this, it's easy to take out. So you'll see in a garden up the top there, you just pull all the pegs out, throw it out of the way and just dig. So what I do with these is, once I get all the ginger out, is I dig the whole garden up, and I'll dig the whole thing over, and then it will be down. If I've got too much soil, I'll put it into another bed, but it needs to be down about 50 mil or 2 inches from the edge. Oh, nice word. So you want this down about 2 inches. So that's the surface area of the garden. So that would be the garden at that level, like so. Then, ginger everywhere. Then what I do with a piece of ginger, if I'm going to grow it, I'll put the ginger in the ground, and I'll just make a little channel like that, and just sit it in there like that, and that's it. Don't bury it in the ground at all.
So it's maybe a third or so into the...
Not even.
That little, okay.
Not even.
Yeah.
So it'll be just there like that. So that will be sitting on the ground like so.
Yeah.
And then what you do then is, once you get your bed all laid out and it's all like that, then you go through and cover it in shavings. The whole thing. Yeah. Shaving.
Yeah.
So you just cover the whole thing in that, because you can see this here. This is all shavings, just been broken down. So ginger doesn't like having its feet wet. So, and then even after all that, you'll find the ginger is in the ground. It will find its own place. It will go into the ground or stay out or whatever, depending on the water. So you just cover it with that and just leave it.
Yeah.
That's
Do,
it.
do you use any fertilizing? Like, do you use any chick manure or your compost or anything else like that as well?
I'll use blood and bone and dynamic lifter.
Yep. Okay.
And put all that in, but I put all that in when I dig.
Yeah.
So once I dig it all over, rake it off, get it down to the 50 mil, put that all over the top, rake it in again, put the ginger in, then that's why you see this is low compared to the other beds.
Yeah, right.
The other beds are full, even this one's low.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's worked very, very well for you, that technique, and certainly very jealous of your ginger production. So I'm going to give that a bit of a go myself this year.
You can grow it in tubs too. Get a decent sized tub or anything like that. Just make sure you just put something on top of it so it's not soaking wet, so it can stay out of the ground but out of the sun.
Yeah.
And I've got ginger growing in 2 tubs down there, and it's going fantastic. Going really well. So.
Cool. Hey, so one of the things that I think would be good to touch on as well is all the structure. You know, it looks awesome. The structure that you've put to this whole sloping area to really define the beds. As we were speaking about, it helps to retain, I guess, things like the wood shavings.
Well, the shavings you can't retain them any other way.
But there have been some challenges with this as well. Do you want to touch on that?
Yes, there's been so I've had termites in them.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be termite resistant. And I was told that if you cut them, you have to replace the coating on the outside of it, so you don't get the termites can't get through that barrier. But I have some in the rough compost. You can see them sticking out the end there. If I was to show you that one there, down there it is almost completely gone, and that one hasn't been cut. You can see that they're odd lengths, so I would have cut them all the same. They haven't been cut at all, and they've got termites right through them.
Yeah.
So
even though you're using like food safe, termite proof wood, in reality it just seems to be a bit of a challenge to keep the termites.
Well, I was going to use plastic. I was thinking of using plastic, but it's price inhibitive. It's unbelievable. Recycled plastic, if they want to get rid of plastic, you would like to think that they would just about give it away, but they don't. And it's really, really expensive. I think if I was doing this again, I would probably use concrete.
Right.
At least concrete, you're getting the lime in your soil.
That's true. And the termites don't eat it. So.
Termites don't like it. Although I've had bandicoots around, so they've been coming around and getting into the beds. They've been in just here, and they've been in just down there and down there. Right. They must think that the worms corral into the corner or something, but but they're not too bad. I normally have the compost heaps netted. Throw a net over the top of them. Because of bush turkeys and the bandicoots, the little bandicoots, they'll go through those compost heaps, and you can imagine what a bush turkey does in that.
Oh
it just destroys it.
Well, look, John, thank you very much for showing us another part of your wonderful property here and what you've been up to. Look, I hope everyone's enjoyed this additional installment of the Sanford Edible Garden Trail. Stay tuned for another one in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you very much once again, John.
Happy gardening.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Jason.